Joining us for this COVID-19 briefing for Wednesday, September 16th. We will start with our test results for today. These are system-wide numbers for Forest General, Merit Health Wesley, SIMRI, Hattiesburg Clinic, and the Moffitt Health Center. As of this morning, 57,810 tests have been conducted since early March. 6,379 of those have come back positive. 50,894 have come back negative. We have 536 tests currently pending. In the hospital today, between Merit Health Wesley and Forest General combined, we have 54 people who are COVID positive. That's a good 8 under where we've been for the last 2 weeks, with another 8 under investigation. Of those 54, we have 19 in the ICU. That's slightly above where we were in the last 2 weeks. And then over time, you can kind of see a steady, consistent sort of downward trend since we hit that spike in early August. And so at that peak, we were just over 100. So we're getting down to about, hopefully, almost half of that. And so hope that trend continues, particularly as things are continuing to open back up and we're increasing capacities on things. Statewide today, there were 711 new cases with 22 new deaths. Locally, of those new cases, 10 were in Forest County, 8 were in Lamar. And so we'll talk about kind of how the Labor Day effect has kind of affected that, but we're always glad to see things in single digits or low double digits. Up to date, 2,294 cases in Forest County, 1,548 in Lamar County. The 5-day average, the good news for this, and again, this is where we take the number of new positive cases on a given day, average it with the 2 days prior and the 2 days after. The good thing is Lamar County's 5-day average is now at 3. Forest County's is under 10 as well, so that's a good sign. Our inside 14-day number, this is where the number of people whose positive test has come back in the last 2 weeks. It gives you kind of an idea of how many active cases you could have. And so Forest County, that number is at 129. In Lamar County, that number is at 101. And so over time, we haven't been this low on the number of inside 14 days for our metro area since about late June, early July. And so that's also a good sign. That was right before the spike started happening. We hope those numbers continue to decline. Week over week, inside 14 days, we were at 179 last Wednesday. We're at 129 today, a drop of 50. Lamar County also down by over 20, 123 to 101. So metro area wide, we're down by about almost around 70 cases from last week to this week. Hospitalizations, we were at 60 a week ago, we're at 54 today. ICU admissions are up just a touch. Our goals continue to be protecting the vulnerable populations, preventing overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread, and prioritizing public health while giving the private sector the space to operate. 4 factors: we continue to push the widespread availability of testing, the wearing of masks, watching our own data to drive our decision making, and of course listening to all voices. This is a Wednesday, and so on Wednesdays we have our stakeholder calls with all of our healthcare institutions, our public schools, our universities, other governments in the metro area. And so here's some notes that we kind of walked away with from today. Positivity rate is around 7%. It's the number of positive cases, percentage of positive cases in relation to the number of tests that were taken. So 7% is actually a lower number than we see on most weeks. And so a little bit above last week, which is 6.8, 6.9%, but 7% is actually a really good number in terms of positivity. The average age of new positives this week is 41.3. We have typically been between 35 and 42. I say that to let you know that we haven't seen this downward trend of the average age, which you might expect when you open up universities and public schools again. The Labor Day effects, again, this typically you start seeing symptoms if you're going to see them between 7 and 10 days. The Labor Day effects now appear limited for now. We'll kind of see if there's any sort of lag in testing, but we don't really have that exorbitant amount of pending tests. So we're glad to see that maybe this doesn't follow the trend of Memorial Day or July 4th. And the total numbers of people coming in for testing has decreased as well. That was a note that was passed on by Merit Health Wesley and some of their outpatient ancillary clinics. A couple other things is hospital and ICUs, however, remain mostly full, but that's not all because of COVID. Both ICUs, both our hospitals are at ICU capacity or on their backup plan now. One Forest General had a few acute beds available. Merit Health Wesley was pretty much full. Hattiesburg Clinic reported that they had the highest flu vaccination rates through mid-September. That's what they've seen in recent history. And so a lot of people right now are coming in to get that flu shot, knowing how important and how uncertain this flu season could be this fall. So I encourage you to take that into consideration. And so some takeaways for us: masks and social distancing work. We mandated masks. The state has mandated masks. Social distancing measures, a lot of people are putting those into place in their businesses. We're pushing it out as a city government, as our county governments, and those things work. The lesson here is let's not wait until we have a big spike and have to suddenly try to bend the curve down again. Let's continue doing that so we can continue in this functional normal of getting back to life as it was in some ways. The second thing is get a flu shot. This is something that our physicians are really recommending. You can go to your pharmacy, you can go to your primary care physician, but getting the flu shot, particularly during what may occur this fall and winter. And I'm going to borrow a line from Jody Waits, the Lamar County Administrator: mind your face and mind your space. If you wear your mask and you separate yourselves, avoid large crowds, keep 6 feet between you and other people, you're likely going to be okay, and the people around you at home or at work are going to be okay as well. In the census right now, we have 14 days left. Our response rate in the city of Hattiesburg is up to 56.3%. That's much better than we were a month ago, but we need to do a lot better. And so continue to pass that message on your social media platforms if you would, your neighbors, fellow church members. HattiesburgCounts.com. It takes 5 minutes to fill out that form, and it's very important. Several pieces of city news for you. Last night, the City Council passed unanimously a budget for FY21. The great thing about this budget is it's the first budget where the general fund is structurally balanced in 10 years. That took a lot of effort these last few years and a lot of hard decisions. But for a while, the City Council had gotten into the habit of passing budgets where expected expenditures outpaced expected revenues. And while the City of Hattiesburg would eventually balance its budget every year, either by not hiring as many people as they thought or by getting more sales tax revenue, it's not a really responsible way of running government, particularly when you're trying to grow your cash reserves and also prepare for economic downturn. We saw the consequence of not having a structurally balanced budget this year when we saw sales tax revenues drop off sharply for a couple of months and hard decisions had to be made. However, the City Council unanimously last night passed this budget where expected revenues match expected expenditures while also making continued investments in things like paving, as well as investing in our city employees and raising those wages. And speaking of paving, Monday and Tuesday, crews were on Thornhill Drive in Ward 3. This is between Mark 6 and the Grand Theater. This is a road that's very highly trafficked, but also very much in need of paving. And so I know we've gotten several Facebook messages asking for this road to be paved over the last couple of years. We're finally glad to get that done. And finally, our act of courage. This is kind of a salute to the AAA family and all of our first responders. Mr. Mac McCann passed away a couple of days ago. And a lot of our firefighters, a lot of our police officers had worked with Mac and just was a real joy to work with and did a great job saving lives every day. And so we send our heartfelt condolences to the AAA family and to Mac's family and to everyone who worked with him and knew him. Tonight, the lights in front of City Hall will be turned white in honor of him and his life, and we send our condolences to all who knew him. As we go into the rest of the week, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential. Remember, you are safer at home. Have a great rest of the evening.